Hello, welcome to the 2011 through 2012 NFL regular season schedule Week 1 picks, Part 2 of 2. We're going to start off at 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox between Atlanta at Chicago. Offensive coordinator Mike Mularkey made good use of his weapons last season as he leaned on running back Michael Turner and wide receiver Roddy White. The end result was a mixture of a power running attack and an intermediate passing game. Mularkey welcomes his buddy Bob Ratkowski over from Cincinnati as the quarterback's coach and receives some speed at wide receiver in Julio Jones and a scat back in Jacquizz Rodgers to add to the mix. Matt Ryan continued to develop in his third year in the league. He was impressive in leading the Falcons to 6 victories in the fourth quarter or overtime. The knock on Ryan is that he can throw the long ball, with Smith calling for more explosive plays. It's suddenly more apparent that the Falcons are ready to take off Ryan's training wheels and let him drive the football down the field. Also, the Falcons are looking to build on the no-huddle attack. Mularkey only unleashed Ryan once last year versus Baltimore to run the attack for the full game. By adding some more speed at running back and wide receiver, the Falcons are hoping that Ryan is ready to handle a more open attack. What the Falcons learned last season is the pass rush is incomplete without a second outside presence. Croy Bierman is a very active run defender, but he registered just 3 sacks in his debut season as a starter. So Thomas Dimitroff spent $11 million guaranteed on free agent Ray Edwards, who in each of the past 2 seasons in Minnesota posted at least 8 sacks against frequent one-on-one blocking opposite Jared Allen. Edwards is also an adept all-around run defender, and he will look to put the heat on Jay Cutler, whose passing mechanics broke down often under pressure caused by 52 sacks. And this was never his stopping point. Improving in this area will be one of the major challenges facing Cutler in 2011 through 2012, and the Falcons will have the ability to do just exactly that on Sunday, forcing 3 sacks. Falcons 24, Bears 17. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Cincinnati at Cleveland. I really do think that Colt McCoy should keep doing what he has been doing for a long time. I think that he can still be the player that he wants to be. Cleveland's making changes to their offense, and it looks like they are still going to turn it to Colt to be their guy, which I think is a good decision. McCoy's a smart kid. He's very smart, in fact. You can tell that he studies very hard and that he also deserves his reputation for being a winner, based on what he did at Texas. Obviously, he's got to prove that he can develop that reputation at this level. But make no mistake, one thing seems very obvious about him. He's not afraid to be out there. He has the poise. He thinks he belongs, and, well, that's just half the battle. The other half the battle, however, will come if Adrian Green looks like a miss due to an inept quarterback in Cincinnati. As we are all aware, the Browns are 1-11 on opening day since 1999, with the only one coming in 2004, with a 20-3 victory over Baltimore. But forget the past. Hope for now has finally returned in Cleveland on the shoulders of Pat Shurmur and Colt McCoy. Let's hope it doesn't quickly leave town with the Bengals coming in on Sunday afternoon. Browns 38, Bengals 23. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Buffalo at Kansas City. The Chiefs' Week 1 opponent is an underwhelming Bills team that seems to lack an identity on either side of the ball. While Kansas City's offense hasn't exactly been firing on all cylinders dating back to Week 17 of last season, they figure to move the ball with ease against seemingly inferior defensive competition. The Chiefs' pass rush could really frustrate the Bills if Wallace Gilberry, Tamba Ali, and Justin Houston can bring consistent pressure. Kansas City boasts an outstanding secondary capable of making Ryan Fitzpatrick pay for any miscues. Buffalo's offensive line is considerably youthful, with their oldest starter being right tackle Eric Pierce at 29 years old. Youngsters Andre Levatry, Eric Wood, and Craig Urbeck should struggle against savvy veteran nose tackle Kelly Gregg, giving the Chiefs plenty of opportunities to bring heat up the middle much like they did in the preseason. Look for the Chiefs to put some points on the board early and ride the energy of Arrowhead Stadium to what should be a smooth victory. Chiefs 27, Bills 13. At 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox, it's Philadelphia at St. Louis. It's possible that St. Louis could play better in 2011 through 2012, yet have the same record as they did in 2010 through 2011. That's because of the schedule, particularly the first 6 weeks of the season, could perhaps be crushing. In order to succeed, the Rams' run blocking must be improved and the wide receivers have to step up their play. To be a playoff contender in 2011 through 2012, the Rams don't need to be just a little better on offense. They need to be about a touchdown a game better. Could that be asking a lot out of them? I guess so, but I won't necessarily sleep on them, unless if it gets really ugly, which I don't expect it to, at least for now. Philadelphia is now more loaded than ever for Andy Reid's style of offense, and that will help them overcome some continued defensive shortcomings. How far Philadelphia can go hinges on Vic staying healthy throughout the season. Eagles 24, Rams 23. At 12 o'clock Central Time on Fox, it's Detroit at Tampa. It might be still too early to get a read on Schwartz, who studies all the numbers, trends and odds, and likes to play the percentages. However, as he develops trust into his players, Schwartz might be more apt to close the book, go with his instincts, and take a few more chances. No doubt about it, the Lions are slowly on the rise, but with Morris, who is a young head coach with some old-school principles, he will be about setting up the pass through the run on offense and getting after the quarterback on defense. Morris usually doesn't mess with the offense too much, but he's constantly tweaking that defense. And the end result could be a blend of several concepts and principles. Buccaneers 31, Lions 30. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Tennessee at Jacksonville. While the Tennessee Titans have a new but familiar head coach, they are more grateful to have their best players still in the mix. After the surprising release of David Garrard, the new faces at quarterback in Jacksonville could ultimately determine the future fate of the Jaguars' veteran head coach. These AFC South rivals hope a mix of old and new will be the recipe for success as they open the season Sunday in Jacksonville. While Jacksonville avoided a third consecutive losing season with an 8-8 mark in 2010 through 2011, it was not nearly good enough to reach the postseason. Longtime Titans assistant Mike Munchak steps in for Fisher, and former Seattle quarterback Matt Hasselbeck takes over under center with 8th overall draft pick Jake Locker, who, by the way, is still waiting in the wings. More importantly, star running back Chris Johnson is ready to play after he followed the lockout by holding out for a 4-year contract extension worth $53 million, $30 million of that guaranteed. Currently the NFL's highest paid running back, Johnson has led the league with 4,598 rushing yards over his first 3 seasons. He has sights set on a big year for himself and the Titans. David Garrard was the main component in holding Jacksonville together as an 8-8 squad last season. But now that he has gone, I will expect a 3-game slide for Jacksonville this season. Titans 34, Jaguars 14. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Pittsburgh at Baltimore. The Steelers have been the big obstacle in Baltimore's way, but they also need to worry about some defensive aging. For now, Pittsburgh should remain fine on defense, and having Ben Roethlisberger in for a full season will be big for them too. However, every year the Ravens have come gradually closer to getting to their first Super Bowl since 2000. It will be all on Ray Rice and the offense to get them there soon, because that window is starting to close on Ray Lewis and the rest of Baltimore's defense. There should be plenty of smash-mouth hitting all around. But I'll stand by the Ravens though. 41-35. At 12 o'clock Central Time on CBS, it's Indianapolis at Houston. So what is to expect out of Manning's 14th season? A nerve-wracking injury? The driven quarterback who showed no signs of wilting under pressure is now holding a clipboard for an old fart who is now being tested with the franchise's weight on his shoulders. No quarterback like Manning has ever given as much freedom before the snap, and very few quarterbacks like Collins can produce at such a high level at the age of 38. I don't think it will surprise anyone if Houston is one of the most improved teams. They went from 9-7 to 6-10 because their defense was bad. I don't know how many tough losses they had, but I don't know that it was good enough for a couple of seasons. Bringing in Wade Phillips to coordinate the defense was a good move. Wade knows that what he is doing, even though switching to a 3-4 defense will still take time to adjust to. But if they start out smoothly, they'll get better as the season goes. I expect him to be really aggressive on defense. They did have some health issues on the right side, but getting Williams, Ryans, and Barwin back will help them out a lot. Texans 37, Colts 24. At 3:15 Central Time on Fox, it's the New York Giants at Washington. There will be plenty of festivities surrounding this contest on the 10th anniversary of the September 11 terrorist attacks. General Colin Powell will serve as the Redskins' honorary captain, and family members affected by the attacks will be honored in a pregame ceremony. On the field, there are doubts for both teams, but there are enough quality athletes and players at marquee positions for the Giants to contend once again for the playoffs. If they clean up the turnover sloppiness, their offense should have little problem moving up and down the field and finding the end zone. The defense can get to the quarterback up front, and the Giants have stability at quarterback, which is always a plus. Now, whether they can improve on stopping the alarming tendency of wearing down late in the season will remain to be seen, but I will expect the Giants to give Washington 6 straight home losses dating back to last season. The Giants have also taken the last 6 season opening meetings with the Redskins, prevailing in 2009, 2008, 1998, 1989, 1988, and 1977. Giants 21, Redskins 20. At 3:15 Central Time, it's Minnesota at San Diego on Fox. San Diego has the services of Patrick Creighton for one more season. The veteran is mostly a slot wide receiver and showed in 2010 through 2011 that he can be more effective on the outside as well. He will probably be used more often as the Chargers drafted Vincent Brown in the 3rd round, and they also plan to give him a chance in the slot right away. Of course, Rivers' favorite target is tight end Antonio Gates, who is coming off a severe foot injury but is expected to be fine for 2011 through 2012 and will continue to give the Chargers that rare deep threat over the middle. For my Vikings, we know that McNabb is the answer for head coach Leslie Frazier, and I also know that Frazier's motivational skills over now a full season will hold a positive effect on the team. The only thing that won't suit in our favor, similarly to last season, is that we don't have a favorable schedule to begin with, and that will take time until possibly week 3. Chargers 36, Vikings 27. At 3:15 Central Time on Fox, it's Seattle at San Francisco. It's not only a talented roster, but it's also a very young roster too. I think that the sky's the limit for the San Francisco 49ers young coaching staff that matches their personnel very well. One of their problems was that quarterback Alex Smith never had any consistency. He hasn't had the same coach or the same coordinator ever. You have to be very, very talented to overcome that, and I think that Smith has done just that. With Jim Harbaugh under the headset, you are at least going to earn some consistency under him, since that's what all of his college teams thrived in. I think that offensively they should be able to find success. As for the other headset across the sideline, aggressiveness just doesn't capture the headstrong nature of Carroll's gambling. Seattle went for it on 4th down 16 times last season, an average of once per game, and ranked 28th in 4th down conversions. Carroll hates settling for field goals and loves to roll the dice on his offense, especially at the end of the first half. Let me ask you this, Seahawks fans. Would you ever want a coach like that who is a constant riverboat gambler and doesn't look for the opportunities to call it safe, or would you rather have a conservative coach like Harbaugh who will take the pressure off his quarterback and look to settle him in an elegant offense that Bill Walsh used to run. Bang! That's right. I didn't think that you would want to settle in with Carroll in the first place. 49ers 30, Seahawks 19. At 3:15 Central Time on Fox, it's Carolina at Arizona. What happened to Arizona last season was a clear, stark example of how this is such a quarterback-driven league. Their record was worse, even though the division was worse. If you don't have a quarterback, you just simply don't have a chance, but that's not where they are at anymore. They still do have a slim chance since they are in such a porous division, and I think that Kolb will carry out Miller and Wissenhunt's offensive philosophy. Carolina won't be nearly as intact offensively as last season, and the NFC South is already tough enough since there are 3 other teams that have proven to get better. It will take a while before the number 1 overall draft pick Cam Newton finds his stride. Cardinals 23, Panthers 13. At 7:20 on NBC, it's Sunday Night Football between Dallas at the New York Jets. Garrett is still trying to fix the laid-back culture Phillips instituted, but there's no guarantee that it will be a quick fix. Don't get me wrong that Garrett is a smart guy, and also don't get me wrong that he will eventually lead Dallas in the right direction. It's only when that happens is anyone's guess, because Sanchez will still prove that he is at his best when he is under pressure. Especially look in the playoffs and also when the Jets were tied or trailing late. The hurry-up offense presented him with fewer reads and more space to work with. Sanchez is that reliable tool in the fourth quarter and overtime and will look to improve his play during the body of games. To me, it doesn't even matter where the Jets finish in the regular season. They proved under Rex Ryan that as long as they get in the playoffs, they are a legitimate threat to win not only the AFC East, but also the entire AFC. Look for them to be steadier in Sanchez's third year. Jets 29, Cowboys 26. At 6 o'clock Central Time on ESPN, it's New England at Miami for the Monday Night Football doubleheader, Game 1. As the Dolphins are looking for calmer waters and less drama in 2011 through 2012, look for these 2 words to not change, which best summarized last season. Field goals. Sperano settled for far too many of them, failing to take the necessary risk that could have gotten the football in the end zone for them. While it looks like Sperano isn't likely going to change his philosophies in this coming season, his job could depend on whether those conservative tendencies can loosen up, even if it is just a little. The Patriots defied expectations last season with a 14-2 regular season mark, using Brady's expertise to jump out of the gate to big leads and allowing the defense to stop an opponent that was too one-dimensional. It's too much to expect Brady to keep turning in eye-popping seasons, so the onus for success is on the defense. The group is a year older, which should still help. If they can just avoid injuries, don't be surprised if the Patriots have their most balanced team in 3 seasons. But the attention will eventually turn to the playoffs. The Patriots will need more than just Brady to break through to Super Bowl 46 this season. I won't put all my money on it right now. I'll wait and see how things go until January, since, well, they've had a 3-game losing streak for the playoffs. But without question, Brady should earn 5 touchdown passes of over 300 yards at Miami. Patriots 42, Dolphins 24. Finally, concluding Week 1 of the 2011 through 2012 NFL regular season schedule, it's Oakland at Denver at 9:15 on ESPN, Game 2 of the Monday Night Football doubleheader. A Broncos defense that ranked among the league's worst in almost every major category last season had difficulty applying pressure, just 23 sacks and containing the run, particularly to the outside. Most of the 3-4 personnel has been discarded and replaced by a questionable 4-3. And with that in mind, it's very hard to predict in my crystal ball if Bailey can still remain as a lockdown cornerback on a rebuilding defense. And so, yeah, the Broncos, they experienced plenty of headaches last season now that he is 33. Enter first-year offensive coordinator Al Saunders, with of course first-year head coach Hugh Jackson, who brings a wealth of experience to the Raiders as well as a massive playbook for players to digest. His forte is identifying and maximizing the talents of his best players. For the Raiders, that means a heavy dose of running backs Darren McFadden and Michael Bush, a steady diet of passes to tight end Zach Miller, and increased action for wide receivers Jacoby Ford, Luis Murphy, and Chess Schillens. Saunders and Jackson will find a way to function in the new system even though Jackson is calling the plays. Sounds like a very major badass offensive mindset to me. Raiders 35, Broncos 31. And that concludes week 1 of my 2011 through 2012 NFL regular season schedule picks. Enjoy the rest of kickoff weekend. Stay tuned.